1. Young Master G, go on. Don't tell me you can't afford to play. In a daze, I heard a very familiar voice. I slowly opened my eyes, and what came into view was an incredibly familiar place, the high school cafeteria. Looking at the scene around me, I seemed to recall which day this was, a day that, whenever I thought about it later, filled me with immense regret. But shouldn't I be dead? Could it be that when one is on the verge of death, the brain projects the most regrettable day of one's life? Looking at Ito Makoto, the one who spoke, and then thinking about my past life, I couldn't help but sneer inwardly. My thoughts returned to the third day after my family went bankrupt. The former young master of the G family was now reduced to working at a roadside barbecue stall, a job I once looked upon with disdain. Well, how has the great young master G started selling barbecue? You chew, this is your old flame. To think he's fallen to this state. A rather handsome man wrapped his arm around her slender waist, his eyes, like hers, filled with disdain as he looked at me. The young woman was Shun Yu-Chu, my ex-wife, and the man beside her was Ito Makoto, once my best friend. My parents' company had always had underlying problems. Shin Yu-Chu used my trust to transfer company assets, nearly causing the capital chain to break. Originally, all of this could have been salvaged. But my younger brother, Ji Xiao, in a series of even more foolish moves, gave all of the G Group's secrets to Shin Yu-Chu. This caused the entire G Group to collapse in an instant. My parents and brother were all arrested. Although my involvement was minimal, I was still given a suspended sentence. Only after the bankruptcy did I learn that Shun Yu-Chu and Ito Makoto had been involved for a long time. Even our child was actually Ito's. It wasn't just the two of them who came this time, but also my former friends. Is everyone here for some barbecue? I knew these people were here to mock me, but I could only force a smile. I knew they were all here to see me make a fool of myself. Just looking at this stall of yours makes me sick. Exactly. If Yu-Chu ate your barbecue, wouldn't she end up straight in the ICU? Yu Yue, standing behind Shin Yu-Chu, also chimed in with ridicule. One after another, they all spoke, each word to put down. Seeing my friends from the past treat me this way now, apart from a bitter taste in my heart, I felt little else. I had no skills. After being cut off from my parents, I could only survive by running a roadside stall that I wouldn't have even glanced at before. Say, if we flip young Master G's barbecue stall, do you think he'll get angry? Ito Makoto looked at me scornfully, a malicious smile on his face. I initially thought Ito was just talking, but to my surprise, everyone else agreed with his idea. They directly overturned my stall. The few customers who were still eating were scared away, leaving without even paying. After they had gone far away, I sat in the middle of the wreckage, tears streaming down my face uncontrollably. Just then, the light in front of me was blocked. Someone was standing before me. I thought it was Shun Yu-Chu and her group, but when I looked up, I met a pair of beautiful, almond-shaped eyes looking at me with pity, mingled with a hint of heartache. Lu Ruyan. Sigh. Lu Ruyan looked at me and sighed. Come with me. Where? I looked at her, astonished. My home. After saying that, Lu Ruyan took my hand and pulled me up from the ground. Lu Ruyan was the top student in my high school, but she only knew how to study and wasn't good at socializing. She always walked with her head down, completely lacking in confidence. 2. My only impression of her was from the first semester of our freshman year. I was playing truth or dare with a few fair-weather friends. I was chosen 5 times in a row, and, according to the rules, I had to do a big dare. Shin Yu-Chu dared me to eat the pickled vegetables from Lu Ruyan's meal tray. Lu Ruyan had the best grades in our class, and she was also the poorest. For every meal, she ate a 40-cent bowl of plain white rice, free pickled vegetables, and the pickle soup. Because of this, she was always sallow and thin. Since Lu Ruyan's parents had died in a plane crash, Shin Yu-Chu had given her the nickname Jinx. This also made Lu Ruyan's personality very withdrawn and unconfident, which in turn made her a target for bullies. Although I never participated, I was an indifferent bystander. I knew clearly that if I had just stopped them, Lu Ruyan wouldn't have been bullied, yet I chose to stand by and do nothing. Lu Ruyan took me back to her villa. Besides the servants, there was also a little girl about 10 years old. Jibo-chan, this is my cousin, Lu Rui. I was a bit surprised because I remembered Lu Ruyan having no relatives, but I still nodded. After all, it was her family matter, and it wasn't my place to ask too many questions. In the days that followed, Lu Rian brought me into her company, taught me various skills, and expanded my network of contacts. I didn't understand why Lu Rian wanted to help me. After my family's company went bankrupt, Lu Rian's company was the only one that continued to work with us until the very end. Lu Rian would smile and say, "Because of your piece of dark chocolate." I suddenly felt a wave of guilt. Back then, during a game of truth or dare, I had sat down next to Lu Rian. Under her astonished gaze, I picked up a piece of pickled radish, but after only a glance, I threw it on the floor and said to my group of degenerate friends, "I lose. Dinner is on me tonight." Turning my head to meet Lu Rian's hurt gaze, I stuffed an expensive piece of chocolate into her pocket. This was the only time I had ever hurt Lu Rian. Even though it was because of a dare, it was ultimately my fault. 2.5 years passed quickly. I was basically able to take over all of Lu Rian's company's business. Shen Yuchu and the others came to discuss cooperation again, but I rejected them all. These people cursed at me, saying I was a perfect match for a lone star of misfortune. Just as I was about to curse back at Shen Yuchu and the others, I received a call from the hospital. Hearing what the doctor said, I rushed to the hospital and arrived at the door of a VIP room. "Mr. G. Ms. Lu's condition is very bad. You should go in and see her quickly." Lu Rian's secretary, Lixia, saw me and hurriedly told me to go inside. Rian. I walked into the hospital room. Lu Rian was half lying on the bed, her face extremely pale. She was typing something on her laptop. Seeing me arrive, she quickly closed it, as if she didn't want me to see what she was writing. "Wuchan, you're here. Have a seat. How has the company been operating recently?" Lu Rian's health had suddenly deteriorated this year, so she had handed the company over to me to manage. 3. Let's not talk about the company right now. I sat by Lu Rian's bed. "How are you?" "The results aren't out yet, but I believe I'll be fine." Lu Rian still smiled at me. I hadn't even exchanged a few sentences with Lu Rian when Lixia called me out, saying someone from the company was looking for me. I looked at Lu Rian. She smiled and nodded, signaling for me to go and attend to my business. "Secretary Li, what is it?" I guessed it probably wasn't someone from the company, so I asked her, "Mr. G, you're Ms. Lu's husband, right?" As expected, Lixia didn't answer my question. Instead, it was Lu Rian's attending physician who stopped me. I was at a loss for words for a moment. I thought about how sometimes when I got up to go to the bathroom at night, I would often see Lu Rian sitting on the sofa in a daze. When she saw me, she would quickly return to her own room. Although we were so close, it felt as if we were worlds apart. In Ms. Lu's contact list, under the family group, you were the only person. And Ms. Lu's contact list only has family and other 2 groups. How is Rian? I didn't know how to answer, so I had to ask the doctor about Lu Rian's condition first. "Mr. G, take a look." The attending physician handed me Lu Rian's urgent imaging report. "Ms. Lu's condition is extremely serious. What we have found so far includes severe esophageal erosion and bleeding, acute atrophic gastritis with severe duodenal ulcers, mild small intestine obstruction, colitis, acute proctitis, late-stage liver cirrhosis, severe emphysema, and acute glomerulonephritis. And this is only a part of it. The blood report hasn't come out yet, but with her organs failing like this, it's not likely to be good." The doctor's words made me feel as if I had been plunged into an icy cavern. Lu Rian was only 2 days older than me, and she was still about a month away from turning 30, yet her body was in such a terrible state. "Does Ms. Lu usually smoke a lot?" "Yes." I nodded. Lu Rian's addiction to smoking was very strong. Among the people I knew, no one was addicted to this extent. She smoked at least 3 packs a day, sometimes even up to 5. When I called her to report on work, I could constantly hear the sound of her lighting a cigarette on the other end. Not only was Lu Rian heavily addicted to smoking, her addiction to alcohol was even greater. She would drink a large amount of hard liquor every day. I wanted to persuade her to smoke less and drink less, but I didn't know in what capacity to do so. I didn't know why the formerly well-behaved girl had such a severe addiction to smoking and alcohol. Ms. Lu is already experiencing multiple organ failure throughout her body. She has at most about a week to live. The doctor sighed. "Ms. Lu has suffered from long-term malnutrition in the past, probably from eating a large amount of pickle products like spicy cabbage and pickled radishes. You should spend more time with Miss Lu in these next few days. Doctor. Seeing the doctor was about to leave, I immediately knelt in front of him. I beg you to save Ruyan. Money is no object. Mr. G, please get up. The doctor immediately helped me up. It's not that I don't want to save her. Ms. Lu is already in multiple organ failure. There's nothing we can do. I handed the report to Lixia and told her not to tell Lu Ruyan. As expected, in the subsequent blood report, few of the indicators were normal. Lu Ruyan seemed to have some kind of obsession that kept her going. She managed to live for another full month. However, in the past month, Lu Ruyan's body had rapidly deteriorated. By her 30th birthday, she was so thin she was unrecognizable, her eye sockets sunken, leaving only skin and bones. I still prepared a birthday cake for her. Bo Chong. Lu Ruyan looked at me, her voice weak. I'm only 2 days older than you. Let's celebrate our birthdays together. I was a little surprised that Lu Ruyan still remembered my birthday. Lu Ruyan sang the birthday song with me, and with a trembling hand, she cut a piece of cake for me. This was the first time we had ever celebrated our birthdays together. Previously, Lu Ruyan had never come back for her birthday. Thank you, Ruyan. I placed a kiss on her forehead before accepting the cake. I saw a flash of joy in Lu Ruyan's eyes. This was the first time I had kissed her, and also the last. Lu Ruyan held my hand tightly, staring at me as if to carve my image into the deepest part of her soul. Suddenly, her hand dropped limply, her pupils gradually dilated, followed by the cold warning of the machine. Ruyan! I roared and held Lu Ruyan, but she no longer responded. The doctors and nurses quickly pulled me away and began to perform emergency treatment on Lu Ruyan, but her body was already a spent lamp, and the doctors were powerless to save her. At Lu Ruyan's funeral, besides Lixia, I was the only one there. I looked at Lu Ruyan in the coffin, tears streaming down like broken pearls. A man does not cry easily, unless he is truly heartbroken. Lixia's eyes were red. She handed me the will and a letter from Lu Ruyan, or rather, a suicide note, telling me that Lu Ruyan had written it while she was in the hospital. Because at that time, Lu Ruyan no longer had the strength to hold a pen, she first typed it on the computer and sent it to Lixia, asking her to print it out after her death and give it to me along with the will. The reason Lu Ruyan had quickly closed her laptop that day was because she didn't want me to see that she was writing a suicide note. The will stated that Lu Ruyan would leave all her property to me, and the suicide note felt like a bolt from the blue. Lu Rui was Lu Ruyan's biological daughter, the product of a time when she was 19 and working part-time. Shin Yuchu had drugged her, and she was then raped by Ito Makoto. I was so angry I wanted to kill Ito Makoto, but seeing that Lu Ruyan hoped I could raise Lu Rui, I had to give up the idea. Lu Rui looked very much like Lu Ruyan, especially her beautiful peach blossom eyes, which were almost identical. Returning to the villa, I opened the door to Lu Ruyan's room, which she always kept locked. When I saw what was inside, I was stunned. It was all my information. Only then did I realize that Lu Ruyan and I had gone to the same university. A university? I had paid my way in, while Lu Ruyan had been admitted based on her exam scores. It recorded everything from my first year of high school to university. I had always thought that Lu Ruyan's affection for me began when I gave her chocolate, but it was actually much earlier. In the middle of the drawer, I found the chocolate I had casually tossed to Lu Ruyan back then. She had never eaten it. Underneath the chocolate was a photo album with only one picture. I recognized it as a photo taken of me in my bachelor's gown at the south gate of university after graduation. From the angle, it must have been a candid shot. Below the photo was a line of words. Ji Chang, when I am qualified to stand by your side, will you love me just once? Lu Ruyan had always kept a diary. The first entry in her high school diary was, there's a classmate in my class named Ji Chang. He's so handsome. It's a pity we're not from the same world. I have to work hard to meet him at the top in the future. In the diaries that followed, nearly half of them were about me, such as when I gave her chocolate and when we took graduation photos together. Her diaries after high school also recorded her continuous efforts to study. The assault by Ito Makoto was only mentioned in passing. After graduating from university, She had to start her own business and raise Lu Rui. So she ate pickled vegetables every day just to save a little more money. The day her company went public, she was so excited she couldn't sleep all night. When she wrote about my family's bankruptcy, she felt very sorry for me, which led to the subsequent events. After I moved in her house, Lu Ruian never wrote in her diary again. However, 2 months before she passed away, as if she had a premonition, Lu Ruian wrote in the bottom right corner of the last page, "Ji Chong, if there is an afterlife, can you look at me one more time, even just once?" My heart completely died. I sat paralyzed in the study until Lu Rui's teacher called me, and only then did I find a reason to live again. Lu Rui is Lu Ruian's daughter, so I must raise her well. For the next 15 years, I was both a father and a mother, raising Lu Rui and pouring all my longing and guilt for Lu Ruian into her. Watching her go to middle school, high school, university, work, and get married, I was satisfied. At the same time, I also ruined the companies of Shen Yuchu, Ito Makoto, Wang Jihong, Yu Yu Wei, and the others. I used to hang out with them, so naturally I knew their weaknesses. I never told Lu Rui about her relationship with Lu Ruian. It would have been too cruel to her. 15 years later, after Lu Rui married the man she loved at the age of 25, I gave all the companies to her. By this time, I was terminally ill. Although I was only 45, I looked like an old man in his 70s. I heard the doctor's helpless sigh, followed by the sound of Lu Rui and Lucia crying. I knew my time had come. In a daze, I seemed to see Lu Ruian standing by my bedside, smiling at me. I felt no fear, calmly accepting death. "Ruian, I'm coming to be with you." My thoughts returned to the present. I looked at Lu Ruian, who was eating silently, and felt immense joy in my heart. In this life, I must make up for what I owe her. The people around me were still relentlessly cursing Lu Ruian. I sneered inwardly. Hanging out with people like them, I deserved what happened to me in my past life. Amidst the jeers of the crowd, I took my tray and sat down next to Lu Ruian. She looked at me in astonishment, her eyes filled with grievance and anger, with tears seemingly about to fall from the corners of her eyes. I took the chopsticks from Lu Ruian's hand, picked up a piece of pickled radish from her tray, and put it in my mouth. Salty. It was so incredibly salty. How did Lu Ruian manage to eat this every day? I almost spat it out, but thinking about how Lu Ruian had eaten this all the time in her past life, I forced myself to swallow it despite the discomfort. "Ruian, this isn't nutritious. Eat some meat." Seeing the anger in Lu Ruian's eyes, I moved all the meat from my plate to hers. The current Lu Ruian was sallow and emaciated, nothing but skin and bones, a result of long-term malnutrition. It was no wonder, though. Eating this kind of food every day would certainly lead to malnutrition. "Ji Chong, you've gone too far." Furious, Lu Ruian stood up, grabbed the bowl of pickled vegetable soup, and threw its contents in my face. Amidst the gasps of the people around us, she ran out of the cafeteria, crying. Everyone was stunned. I was known for my terrible temper, yet Lu Ruian had dared to throw soup in my face. I wasn't angry. Watching Lu Ruian's retreating figure, what I felt most was guilt. "Brother G, that jinx actually dared to throw soup on you. Do you want us to teach her a lesson for you?" Looking at the sycophants gathering around me, I saw them for who they truly were. "I don't want anything to do with you guys anymore. Leave me alone." After saying that, I ran out of the cafeteria to chase after Lu Ruian. But I couldn't find any sign of her on the sports field, so I had to wait until the afternoon classes. During class, my gaze never left Lu Ruian. "Wuchang, how dare that bitch throw soup on you?" Shin Yuchu thought I was angry and said with a smile, "After school, we'll help you get revenge." "Bitch." Hearing those words, I shot a cold glare at Shin Yuchu. Startled by my look, Shin Yuchu didn't dare say anything more. However, she still thought I was angry because of what Lu Ruian did. After what felt like an eternity, class was finally over. I walked over to Lu Ruian's desk. Because of her personality, no one wanted to sit next to her, so Lu Ruian never had a desk mate. Lu Ruian's eyes were still a little red and swollen. It was obvious she had been crying for a long time. Seeing me, a flash of fear crossed her eyes. "I'm sorry. I shouldn't have thrown the soup on you at lunch." Lu Ruian thought I was going to hit her, so she quickly apologized. Although I wasn't a gangster, All the gangsters were afraid of me. Rian, I don't blame you. Seeing her like this, my heart ached. In the future, can I ask you for help with questions I don't understand? Lu Rian clearly hadn't expected me to say this and just stared at me, stunned. I'm sorry, I don't want to have anything to do with you. After a long moment, Lu Rian finally spoke, her voice once again cold and distant. I was a little taken aback, but I understood her feelings. I placed a chocolate from my previous life on her desk. For the following week, besides paying attention in class, I gave Lu Rian a piece of the same chocolate from my past life every day. But she didn't eat a single one, placing them all on the windowsill next to her. My fair-weather friends all asked me what had gotten into me lately, not only hovering around the jinx, but also starting to study seriously. Actually, because I attended middle school in another city and wasn't with Shun Yochu's circle, my grades were excellent. Otherwise, I couldn't have gotten into this school. But after starting high school and getting involved with these bad influences, my grades began to plummet. I'm very fortunate to have been reborn at the very beginning of the second semester of my first year of high school. If it had been my senior year, I would have been in real trouble. But every time I saw Lu Rian looking at me with cold eyes and a distant tone, I felt heartbroken. One day after school, Shun Yuchu suddenly cornered me in the stairwell. Bo Chong, what have you been trying to do these past few days? Always looking for that lone star of calamity. Don't you know that getting close to her will bring you bad luck? Shut up, Shin Yuchu. What right do you have to talk about her? I suppressed the urge to slap her. Bo Chong, don't you love me anymore? Why are you defending her? Shin Yuchu hugged me directly. Just as I was about to push her away, I looked up and my eyes met Lu Rian's. Lu Rian said nothing. Without even a second glance at us, she walked around us and continued on her way. Rian, with a forceful push, I shoved Shin Yuchu to the ground. Ignoring her cry of surprise, I ran over and grabbed Lu Rian's arm. Jiwa-chan, what are you doing? Let go of me. Lu Rian tried to pull her arm back, but she wasn't strong enough. I saw on her face not only disgust, but, more so, terror. Rian, there's really nothing between Shun Yuchu and me. Don't misunderstand. I'm not interested in your affairs. Please don't use me as a bargaining chip. Tears of grievance streamed down Lu Rian's face. Rian, I wanted to say like you, but it felt too abrupt. I really want to help you. Jibwa Chong, don't make fun of me. Lu Rian angrily snatched her arm back, took 2 steps away, and looked at me coldly. Don't drag me into the affairs of you rich people. Thank you. With that, she walked away without looking back. I didn't follow her. Instead, I glared angrily at Shin Yuchu, who probably hadn't gotten up yet because I had pushed her too hard. Shin Yuchu, don't pester me anymore, or I won't be polite. That same day, I went to the head teacher's office and said I wanted to sit with Lu Rian so she could help me with my studies. The teacher was a little surprised, but agreed. After all, my family often gave her gifts, so she was willing to help with such a small favor. The next day, I moved my things next to Lu Rian. She immediately looked at me with a cold gaze. Rian, from now on, I'll be your desk mate. Please guide me. Seeing that Lu Rian was still looking at me coldly, I asked again, Rian, why are you always like this with me? Because I hate you. After saying that, Lu Rian went back to her workbook and ignored me. I felt a crushing pain in my heart, but thinking about everything Lu Rian had done for me in my past life, and her secret crush that lasted from age 15 to 27, what was this little bit of pain? For the next month, I constantly pestered Lu Rian, asking her all sorts of questions. Her attitude towards me gradually changed from cold and distant to that of a normal classmate. I also completely cut ties with my fair-weather friends and stopped interacting with them. For the following month, I would follow Lu Rian every day after school until I watched her walk into her apartment. A month later, I was following Lu Rian as usual. When we reached a small alley, she turned to look at me. Jiwa Chong, what are you trying to do? It's been a month. Haven't you had enough fun? My heart sank. Lu Rian actually thought I had been playing with her all this time. I'm not playing with you, Rian. I'm serious. I gritted my teeth and confessed what was in my heart. I really like you, Rian. Please believe me. Lu Rian looked at me in disbelief. I could see a flash of joy in her eyes, but it was quickly replaced by anger. Jiwa Chong, I know you're fighting with Shin Yuchu, but it's been over a month. I really don't want to play along with you anymore. Tomorrow, You should go be desk mates with Shun Yu-chu and stop bothering me. Ruyan, what will it take for you to believe me? I grabbed Lu Ruyan's sleeve. Kneel. Lu Ruyan pulled her sleeve free and turned to leave. Thud. Without hesitation, I knelt behind Lu Ruyan. Ruyan, I'm begging you, don't go. Lu Ruyan turned back in disbelief. I knew she thought I was playing with her and never expected me to actually kneel. Jibo-chang, don't be like this. Get up quickly. Lu Ruyan was clearly flustered and immediately came to help me up. Ruyan, I'm sincere. I took the opportunity to wrap my arms around Lu Ruyan's slender waist. She still had the familiar, sweet scent from my past life. Lu Ruyan's body was so soft, and it felt so good to hold her. I really wanted to hold her a little longer. No, we're in high school now. We have to study. Lu Ruyan's cheeks were bright red, but she had finally let her guard down with me. I can help you with your studies, but I absolutely cannot accept any other ideas from you. Okay. I nodded solemnly. This was a good start. From that day on, my relationship with Lu Ruyan gradually improved. She was no longer as cold and distant to me as before. Sometimes, I could even see a rare smile on her face, and her whole demeanor toward me was no longer so gloomy. I knew Lu Ruyan liked to eat lamb, so every day I would have the family cook make all kinds of lamb dishes for her. For lunch, I wouldn't let Lu Ruyan go to the cafeteria to eat bran and vegetables. Every lunchtime, I would hand her the prepared food container and say it was a thank you for tutoring me. In this life, I must make sure Lu Ruyan takes good care of her body. In her previous life, she had a lot of illnesses which was related to eating salty vegetables every day while she was still growing. With Lu Ruyan's tutoring, coupled with my memories from my past life, my grades in the final exam of the first semester of high school rose from the bottom of the 50s to the top 20s. Lu Ruyan was really suited to be a teacher. She could quickly find out where my problems were and then designate suitable methods to address them. After the results were released at the end of this semester, Lu Ruyan invited me to see where she lived, and I was naturally very happy. Lu Ruyan's home was a full 6 kilometers from the school, and she walked to and from school every day. I had often walked Lu Ruyan home from school before, so this road was not unfamiliar to me. Lu Ruyan lived in an apartment invested in by some unknown entrepreneur, specifically providing housing for orphans. It only cost 100 yuan a month to live there, and Lu Ruyan relied on this temporary residence and a monthly living allowance of 600 yuan to barely survive. Probably considering that she lived in a 6-person room, we just chatted for a while in the hallway. Ruyan, why don't you live at my house from now on? Meeting Lu Ruyan's surprised eyes and flushed cheeks, I realized she had misunderstood, so I quickly added, don't worry, my house has many rooms. Thank you, but I really don't need to. Lu Ruyan did not agree with me. During the summer vacation, I often asked Lu Ruyan to go for a walk in the park near her residence. Lu Ruyan did not refuse my invitation, perhaps because I was the only one who did not reject her. Just like in my past life when I gave her that bag of chocolates, I had just tossed it to her casually, but she treasured it for a full 15 years. A week before school started, on a moonless night, Lu Ruyan and I were walking by the lake after dinner, when suddenly a dozen people blocked our way. Jibo-chang, what's gotten into you this semester? You're ignoring us just for this jinx. Shin Yu-chu looked at me, her tone slightly angry. And, don't you love me anymore? None of your damn business. I immediately pulled Lu Ruyan behind me. And I have never loved you, so stop being so sentimental. Jibo-chang, if you hang out with this disaster star, be careful she doesn't pass her bad luck on to you. Ito Makoto also said angrily. That's right, Yu-chu is your childhood sweetheart, yet you treat her like this for this jinx. Yu Yue also looked at me. I felt the person behind me grip my hand, her body trembling uncontrollably. I looked at Lu Ruyan. She wasn't looking at me, but I could see tear stains on her cheeks. Calling her a disaster star? What right do you trash have to talk about others? I squeezed Lu Ruyan's soft, boneless little hand back. Don't ever appear in front of me again. It's disgusting to see you. After speaking, I took Lu Ruyan's hand and walked around them. These people were all paper tigers. Wary of me being by Lu Ruyan's side, they didn't dare to do anything. In the past, they would have already started bullying Lu Ruyan in various ways, but now, as long as I was here, that would never happen again. Thinking of how Lu Ruyan was framed by Shun Yu-chu and Ito Makoto in college in her past life, my resentment towards the two of them deepened. In this life, I must find a chance to make these two scumbags pay the price. Why? It wasn't until we were far away that Lu Ruyin looked at me, but she didn't pull her left hand out of mine. What? Why? I looked at Lu Ruyin. Why are you so good to me now? Lu Ruyin seemed to have thought of something, and a trace of sadness flashed through her beautiful eyes. Although you never bullied me, we didn't have much interaction. Why now? I understood why Lu Ruyin would ask me this. Not only because she didn't understand why I, who had little interaction with her, would treat her this way, but also because she believed I wasn't approaching her just to spite Shin Yuchu and the others. Ruyin. I looked into her beautiful peach blossom eyes. You once said if there's a next life, could you give me one more glance? Lu Ruyin frowned, clearly not believing my words. Jibwichong, if you have any questions you don't understand in the future, feel free to ask me. I will definitely explain them to you seriously. After Lu Ruyin finished speaking, she pulled her hand away and walked toward her home. I could feel that Lu Ruyin was trying hard to control her emotions. Watching Lu Ruyin's lonely figure, I didn't chase after her. If I were in her shoes, I probably wouldn't be able to accept it right away either. But I could wait. In my past life, Lu Ruyin waited from the age of 15 to 27, always striving to meet me at the top. So, I could also wait for her, wait until she could accept me. Just as I was about to turn and leave, I suddenly saw several people dragging Lu Ruyin into the nearby woods. Bitch, so you're the one seducing Jibwichong, huh? Before I even got close, I heard Shin Yuchu's curse, followed by the sound of continuous slaps. I was furious and quick in my pace. Speak up, you bitch. Are you mute? Then, I heard Yue's voice. I understood that these people didn't dare to do anything to me right now, so they were venting all their malicious anger on Lu Ruyin. Sure enough, as I approached the woods, I saw Ito Makoto and Wang Jihong holding Lu Ruyin by her left and right arms, while Shin Yuchu and Yue were slapping her face relentlessly. The others were gathered around, jeering. Lu Ruyin kept her head down, allowing their slaps to land on her face without begging for mercy. I immediately pushed through the crowd. Shin Yuchu was a little surprised to see me, but in the next moment, I punched her in the right cheek. I had been building muscle since I was young, and my strength was immense, especially when I was losing my senses. I didn't hold back at all with that punch. Shin Yuchu's body flew several meters like a kite with a broken string, and she spat out a mouthful of blood mixed with a few teeth. Yue was clearly scared stiff. I followed up with a vicious kick to her lower abdomen. She immediately clutched her stomach and fell to the ground, writhing in pain. I took down Ito Makoto with a knee strike. Only Wang Jihong, seeing things were going badly, turned and ran. Just as I was about to chase after Wang Jihong, a warm, soft little hand suddenly grabbed my wrist. Only then did I regain some of my senses and look at Lu Ruyin, who had fallen to the ground. Her face was already red and swollen, and blood was trickling from the corner of her mouth. Seeing me look at her, Lu Ruyin shook her head. Her voice was incredibly soft and sweet. Jibwichong, I want to go home. Okay. I picked Lu Ruyin up, and she naturally wrapped her arms around my neck, leaning her body into my embrace. Instantly, waves of her unique body fragrance washed over me. In my past life, Lu Ruyin always had this scent on her. I had thought it was perfume, but now it seemed to be her natural body scent. None of the onlookers dared to stop me. Only a few who had come to their senses immediately dialed for an ambulance. Ruyin, I'm sorry. I got you involved in this, I said, looking at Lu Ruyin nestled in my arms. No, Lu Ruyin shook her head. It's not your fault. Without you, I would have been much worse off. These people took pleasure in bullying others. In my past life, I watched them bully one classmate after another, never stepping in to stop them, just watching as if it were a play, never thinking about how innocent the bullied people were. Tenny had just taken Lu Ruyin back to her place when the building manager told her to hurry up and pack her things. She had to move out tonight and couldn't live there anymore. After saying this, the manager looked at Lu Ruyin with great guilt. He felt sorry for this homeless girl, but he couldn't disobey the young lady's orders. The manager told us that this apartment building was invested in by Shin Yuchu's family. A moment ago, Shin Yuchu had called and told him to kick Lu Ruyin out. In the past life, Shin Yuchu didn't know Lu Ruyin lived here. But in this life, because of my frequent interactions with Lu Ruyan, Shun Yuchu started investigating her and discovered she was living in an apartment funded by her family, so she had the manager evict her. It's okay, Ruyan. You can live at my place. Seeing Lu Ruyan was still hesitant, I continued. I won't do anything to you. Besides, I need you to tutor me in my studies. And so, at my repeated insistence, Lu Ruyan agreed to my request. I had our housekeeper, Auntie, prepare a room for her. Before, she had lived in a 6-person room with bunk beds. Now, Lu Ruyan finally had a room of her own. Auntie even teased me, asking if this was my girlfriend. I replied no, she was my future wife. Hearing my words, Auntie immediately broke into a knowing, motherly smile and, just like last semester, prepared an extra portion for every meal. My parents were away all year round, but fearing I would miss them, they still video called me every week. I told them a homeless friend of mine was staying with me for a while, and they didn't object. The next day, the police came to the door and took Lu Ruyan and me to the station. Yesterday, I had knocked out 5 of Shin Yochu's right teeth and caused a slight fracture in her right arm. Yu Yue suffered a minor spleen rupture, and Ito Makoto had 7 of his front teeth knocked out. Shin Yuchu and Ito Makoto were currently sitting on chairs. Yu Yue hadn't come, presumably recovering in the hospital. The police had already reviewed the surveillance footage and confirmed that I was saving someone and that I hadn't done anything further after the rescue, so they just had me pay for all the medical expenses. I took out a card, threw it in Ito Makoto's face, and warned the 2 of them. Who among you dares to touch Lu Ruyan again? Just try it. The 2 of them knew they couldn't afford to provoke me and could only take the money to settle the matter. Although Lu Ruyan and I hadn't confirmed our relationship, I knew that the high school Lu Ruyan had always prioritized her studies, yet she still acquiesced to me holding her hand and putting my arm around her shoulder. The gloomy aura around Lu Ruyan had completely vanished. She was finally no longer sullen every day and gradually walked out of her self-enclosed world, which made me very gratified. In my previous life, it must have been under this kind of high pressure and isolation that Lu Ruyan developed a serious addiction to smoking and alcohol. Lu Ruyan already had a favorable impression of me. With my efforts, a seed of love quietly took root and sprouted in our hearts, and it would blossom and bear fruit in the future. 11 in the new semester, Shun Yuchu, Ito Makoto, and the others wisely applied to transfer classes, probably wanting to avoid me. Yu Yue simply applied for a year of homeschooling, and the others scattered like birds and beasts. No one dared to bother Lu Ruyan again. As expected, this group of people were fair-weather friends to anyone. They would fly their separate ways when disaster struck, and were not worth befriending at all. Lu Ruyan had also asked me if someone with her family background would become a burden to me in the future. I held Lu Ruyan's hand, looked into her beautiful peach blossom eyes, and solemnly told her that only a coward would regard his most cherished person as a burden. September 11th was Lu Ruyan's birthday. I specially bought her the latest limited collector's edition of the Vermilion Bird Date 70 Pro Max as a birthday gift. Ruyan, happy birthday. This is your birthday present. It happened to be Sunday. After breakfast, I handed the gift box to Lu Ruyan. Thank you, Bo-chong. Lu Ruyan took the gift box and looked at me. Your birthday is in 2 days. Why don't we celebrate together? How did you know my birthday? I smoothly put my arm around Lu Ruyan's shoulder and looked at her. Lu Ruyan's cheeks turned slightly red, and she turned her head away. Oh, that's a secret for now. All right, Ruyan, see if you like the gift. As long as it's from you, I like it. Lu Ruyan didn't open the box right away, but smiled at me. Hearing Lu Ruyan's words, I couldn't help but chuckle. Was this really the Lu Ruyan who never smiled and only knew how to study foolishly? However, with the memories of my past life, I knew that Shun Yuchu and the others had celebrated my birthday once last year. And that's when Lu Ruyan found out. Thinking about what Shun Yuchu did later in my previous life, I only felt a wave of nausea. At my urging, Lu Ruyan finally opened the gift box. When she saw the Vermilion Bird Date 70 Pro Max Limited Collector's Edition inside, she was instantly stunned. This phone was the newest model. The initial release cost more than 20,000 red coins, and the collector's edition was as high as 30,000 red coins. This is too expensive. Lu Ruyan wanted to return the phone to me. Bo Chong, thank you, but I really can't accept this gift. Ruyan, this phone was bought for you. I took a step back. Seeing that Lu Ruyan was about to say more, I had to placate her first. Ruyan, if you think it's too expensive, just consider a loan for me. Otherwise, you don't even have a phone. What if I need to find you? In the end, it was only under my repeated insistence that Lu Ruyan accepted it. After lunch, I took Lu Ruyan to the service hall to get a phone card. Unexpectedly, we ran into Shun Yuchu and Ito Makoto there. Sure enough, without me, the two of them got together as a matter of course, 11 years earlier than in the previous life. I held Lu Ruyan's hand and directly ignored the two of them. Perhaps they were scared from the last time I hit them, as Shun Yuchu and Ito Makoto obediently made way for me. While Lu Ruyan was getting her card, I could feel a gaze fixed on me. I followed the gaze and met Shun Yuchu's eyes. Shun Yuchu immediately looked away, pretending that nothing had happened. Afterward, I helped Lu Ruyan apply for Penguin, Blue Character, and Green Bubble accounts, and I was her first friend on all of them. 12 in this life, Lu Ruyan no longer ate salted vegetables every day. After these few months, her complexion had become rosy, she was no longer skin and bones, and her figure had returned to normal. Because of Lu Ruyan, high school life was also very fulfilling. During class, I was always used to holding Lu Ruyan's soft, fair hand. At first, she would feel very uncomfortable, but after a while she got used to it. I would only let go of her hand whenever Lu Ruyan needed to take notes. However, after Lu Ruyan finished taking notes, she would always voluntarily place her hand back in mine, letting me hold it. Her hands were so soft. Once I held them, I never wanted to let go. It's just that every time, Lu Ruyan would blush like the fiery sunset clouds, exceptionally bright and beautiful. She was already gorgeous, and this made her even more beautiful and moving. Lu Ruyan's grades were still first in the class, a position no one could ever shake. Many students wanted to borrow Lu Ruyan's notes to have a look. After all, they were the notes of a top student and would certainly be helpful. However, besides me, Lu Ruyan never lent her notes to anyone. Her note-taking was very clear, and to make it easier for me to study, Lu Ruyan even specially marked which points were likely to be on exams and which were common mistakes. Later, after we were married, Lu Ruyan told me, because those were all your competitors, I couldn't possibly lend my notes to them. My grades hadn't yet reached Lu Ruyan's level, but in all the exams during the first semester of senior year, I had managed to return to the level I was at when I first entered high school, consistently ranking between 5th and 10th in the class. For someone who had ranked below 50th in the final exams of the first semester of freshman year, this was already quite an achievement. But I was still not content. I wanted to go to the same university as Lu Ruyan. Lu Ruyan's goal was the same as in her previous life, the strategic finance program at University A in our city. In her past life, she had studied this major at university. I also tried hard to get my parents' business back on track, but they paid me no mind, so I could only give up. Since my parents' company was destined to collapse, I had to get my life and Lu Ruyan's on the right track before it did, to give Lu Ruyan a secure home and prevent the tragedy of my previous life, where she died of multiple organ failure at the age of 29, from happening again. 3 years of high school passed in a flash. Shun Yuchu, Ito Makoto, Yu Wei, Wang Jihong, and others rarely appeared in my life anymore. Even if we ran into each other, we treated each other as strangers. For the college entrance exam, Lu Ruyan and I were assigned to the same examination hall, which made me very happy. After the English exam, as soon as I walked out of the examination hall, I confessed my feelings to Lu Ruyan again. But for a long time, I received no response. I thought Lu Ruyan was going to reject me, but when I looked at her, Lu Ruyan was looking at me with tears in her eyes. Seeing me look at her, Lu Ruyan nodded slightly and threw herself into my arms. I felt the clothes on my shoulder become damp with her tears, and I held Lu Ruyan a little tighter. How foolish I was in my past life to have missed out on such a treasure of a girl who loved me so deeply. But thankfully, heaven gave me a chance to start over. The onlookers were all applauding for us. When we took our graduation photos, I held Lu Ruyan's hand openly, not caring about others' gazes. My parents made a special trip back to attend my graduation ceremony. As expected, they were very dissatisfied with Lu Ruyan. Seeing my insistence, my parents gave me a look of disappointment. Unsurprisingly, my parents gave up on grooming me as their successor and turned to cultivate my younger brother, Ji Boxiao, who was a year younger than me. I didn't mind. I might not be the heir, but I still had enough money to spend, enough for Lu Ruyan and me to cover our expenses for 4 years at university. My college entrance exam score was more than 30 points lower than Lu Ruyan's, but thankfully, my score was high enough for the B-track admission to the strategic finance program at University A. The tuition was 3 times out of the A-track, but just being able to get into the same program as Lu Ruyan was already great. Before the semester started, I gave an administrator some benefits to have him place me and Lu Ruyan in the same class. 13. During military training, a classmate joked with me, "Dude, you managed to win over our department bell so quickly." Hearing this, I was a bit stunned. Department bell? Lu Ruyan wouldn't voluntarily participate in something like that, would she? That classmate looked at me in surprise. "You don't know your girlfriend is the belle of our School of Finance? Her vote count is more than double that of the second-place girl." Seeing I was still stunned, the classmate took out his phone, opened a ranking page, and showed it to me. I saw Lu Ruyan's vote count was far ahead, but when I saw the second and third-place names, I frowned slightly. They were actually Yu Yuwei and Shen Yuchu. Memories of my past life resurfaced, and I resolved in my heart that in this life, I must protect Lu Ruyan well. Lu Ruyan and I changed the profile pictures of all our social media accounts and the backgrounds of our friend circles to a photo of the two of us together. I originally wanted to give Lu Ruyan a sum of money each month for living expenses, but I was afraid she would feel insecure because of it, yet I didn't want her to take on part-time jobs again. So I found her counselor, gave her a sum of money, and asked her to help me deposit it into Lu Ruyan's bank account each month under the guise of a subsidy for students in need. Afterward, in the name of an orphan support association, I paid for all 4 years of Lu Ruyan's tuition. I asked the counselor to keep all of this confidential. In this life, I did not want Lu Ruyan to have to work part-time jobs again. Lu Ruyan, just like in high school, buried her head in her studies every day. I knew she felt she wasn't good enough for me and wanted to improve herself. I stayed by her side the whole time because I knew that in this life, I couldn't rely solely on my family. My roommate even teased me, "You're in a fake relationship," to which I just smiled without a word. I hadn't told them that Lu Ruyan and I were already preparing to move out and live together. Just yesterday, we had picked out an on-campus studio apartment that was very close to the cafeteria and our classrooms. Just like that, freshman year flew by. Although Yu Wei, Shun Yu Chu, and the others were in the same major as me, we were in different classes, so I hadn't seen them even once all year. One day, Lu Ruyan was on her period, and I went to the first cafeteria to buy her brown sugar ginger tea. Suddenly, a few people blocked my path. "Can I help you? If not, please move aside." Seeing it was Shun Yu Chu and her group, I grew angry. "Don't block the path. Can we talk?" Eating Chung spoke first. "What is there for us to talk about?" I had no intention of engaging them and tried to walk around. "Do you really want to be with Lu Ruyan?" Shen Yuchu blocked me again. "Do you know that Uncle and Anne have already started grooming Ji Boxiao?" "I know." I looked at Shen Yuchu as if she were an idiot. "Besides, what does the Ji family's business have to do with any of you?" "Ji Bochong, are you stupid? Don't you realize you're about to lose the Ji family inheritance?" Yue stared at me. "I know. I'm not interested in the inheritance. And I know what you're all up to. Don't bother me again in the future." I forcefully shoved Eating Chung aside and walked toward the cafeteria. In my past life, I was so captivated by Shun Yochu's beauty that I allowed them to gradually and subtly infiltrate the company, transferring all its funds overseas. My parents' dishonest business practices were also exposed by Ji Boxiao. Just like that, the massive Ji family conglomerate crumbled in an instant. However, I knew that Shen Yuchu and the others were merely the catalyst for the Ji family's collapse, hastening an inevitable end by a few years. The Ji family now was a hot potato. Since Ji Boxiao liked it so much, he could have it. 14. In my sophomore year, Ji Boxiao also got into my university. To be precise, like Shun Yuchu and Eating Chung, he had completely paid his way in. His score was more than 300 points short of the requirement for the B-list choice. Those who paid their way in were all assigned to a preparatory program. Apart from military training, They didn't attend classes with the A-list and B-list students who were admitted through normal exams. The top students in the preparatory program could earn a university degree, but for the underachievers, the degree certificate would have a special note, preparatory program. Under my influence, Lu Ruyan gradually began to interact with people other than me and made new friends of her own. After the freshman year military training, I had pulled her into a school club to practice communicating with others. In her past life, she probably learned to communicate with people during a part-time job. So, in this life, I would accompany her as she learned, bit by bit, how to get along with others. Furthermore, I was determined to help Lu Ruyan avoid the calamity that was to befall her at the age of 19. However, because Lu Ruyan and I were together in this life, many things changed. The year she turned 19 passed safely, with no major incidents. Once during our sophomore year, we were in a club gathering together. Because I had left something in our rental apartment, I told Lu Ruyan to go ahead with the other classmates. As I approached the private room, I heard voices from inside. "Senior Lu, your relationship with Senior G is so wonderful. Yeah, you can see the love in your eyes when you look at each other. I've liked Buchong for almost 5 years now," Lu Ruyan's voice followed. "I originally thought it was impossible for us, but I never expected we'd end up together. I love Buchong very much. He's my entire life." Hearing her words, I was deeply moved. Such a wonderful girl would belong only to me from now on. I pushed the door open and entered. Lu Ruyan and I locked eyes, and in them, we could only see each other's reflection. After dinner, we played Truth or Dare. With a group of young people together, most of the topics revolved around love and romance. Lu Ruyan drew a truth. Someone asked her, "Senior Lu, between you and Senior G, who fell for the other first?" Lu Ruyan glanced at me and said with a smile, "Of course, I fell for Senior G first. Because of him, my once gray world became colorful." Instantly, a playful uproar filled the room. I understood what Lu Ruyan meant. The old Lu Ruyan lived in a self-enclosed world, and I was the one who had led her out of that self-imposed prison and brought her hope. When Lu Ruyan drew a dare, someone, I don't know who, was the first to say, "Senior Lu, why don't you and Senior G share a kiss?" At once, another wave of teasing and cheering swept through the room. Lu Ruyan's face instantly flushed crimson, while I gently lifted her chin and, under her startled gaze, pressed my lips to her delicate cherry-like mouth. This wasn't our first kiss, but it was the first time in public. At first, my arm around her waist could still feel her resistance, but soon, her body grew softer, her jade-like arms encircling my neck as she gradually began to respond to my passionate kiss. When the kiss ended, Lu Ruyan's face was flushed with shyness as she leaned weakly against my chest. "Senior G, you have to invite us when you and Senior Lu get married." I nodded with a smile. "I'll definitely send you invitations when the time comes." In our third year, Lu Ruyan was elected as the president of the student club. She had already learned how to speak to all kinds of people. When I asked her for her secret, her answer was simple and straightforward. Speak human to humans, speak ghost to ghosts, and speak nonsense to those who are neither. But Lu Ruyan's presidency was more of a nominal role. She still spent most of her time studying with me in our rented apartment, rarely involving herself in club affairs. Her image as both a beauty and a top student naturally attracted many to join the club. After moving in together, we stopped going to the library and studied at home instead. I didn't have Lu Ruyan's self-discipline. Whenever I struggled to focus, I'd go prepare some fruit for her. On the very day I was reborn, afraid of forgetting, I had recorded all of Lu Ruyan's past life business plans and ideas in my computer, encrypting them with the strongest security measures. If she ever decided to start a business after graduate school, I could hand them to her. Since our birthdays were only 2 days apart, we always celebrated together. I had wanted to hold it on her birthday, but she insisted on alternating years. Though I gave her a generous monthly allowance, she remained frugal, no love for luxury brands, no interest in makeup. Aside from a bottle of sunscreen, some aloe vera gel, and 2 lipsticks, her dressing table held no other cosmetics. The money she saved went into carefully chosen gifts for me during holidays. Ji Boxiao often provoked me openly, clearly having integrated himself into Shun Yuchu, Ita Makoto, in their circle. Knowing full well the toxicity of that group, I looked forward to the day Ji Boxiao ended up with nothing. I would still support my parents in the future, but as for Ji Boxiao, I'd consider it mercy if I didn't kick him while he was down. In our past life, that idiot had spilled all the company's secrets the moment Shin Yuchu played the seduction card. Combined with the financial records I foolishly provided, the G Group collapsed overnight. Seeing that I remained firm in my relationship with Lu Ruyan, my parents completely gave up on me. Aside from basic privileges, I was stripped of any real position in the company's core. I never told Lu Ruyan any of this, not wanting to worry her. I loved her deeply, and telling her wouldn't solve anything. It would only make her anxious about my situation. Though we lived together, we never took that final step. We both wanted to save our first time for our wedding night. During university, some would occasionally approach Lu Ruyan for her contact details when I wasn't around. She always refused, sometimes pointing at me, standing in line to buy breakfast, and telling them, "That's my boyfriend, the one I love most." This was something my former roommate later told me. I also told Lu Ruyan about my plans to break away from the G family and start my own business, explaining that I would no longer inherit the G Group. She gently kissed my lips and said, "Whether you inherit the G Group or not, I'll always love you." Time flew, and soon it was our final year. Knowing Lu Ruyan wanted to continue her studies, I encouraged her to take the postgraduate entrance exam. After a long silence, she finally nodded. In her past life diary, she had written about wanting to pursue a master's degree but being forced to work due to financial constraints. I, too, prepared to establish my company in City A, following the path she had once taken. During our winter break, Lu Ruyan was accepted into a university's graduate program, but as a part-time student. Surprised, I asked her why. Her answer was simple: "You're starting a business. You'll need someone by your side. If I were a full-time student, I wouldn't have time for you." I pulled her into my arms, tears falling uncontrollably. In both this life and the last, Lu Ruyan always put me first. When we took graduation photos, I led her to the spot where she had once secretly photographed me in our past life. This time, it was my turn to capture her profile in secret. On the back of the photo, I wrote, "Even if time and space shift, it's still you beside me." Lu Ruyan looked puzzled when she saw it. "We're already together. Why the sneaky photo?" she asked. I gently kissed Lu Ruyan's lips and told her, "This is proof that I've loved you for 2 lifetimes." The day before graduation, Lu Ruyan and I returned to the grove of trees she had loved most when we first arrived at university. Both of us wore our graduation gowns. After setting up the camera, I held her close beneath the trees, capturing this long-overdue graduation photo, 1 lifetime too late. After graduation, I secured some startup fund from my family and opened a company near the campus. With the experience from my past life, the business ran smoothly. Since Lu Ruyan was still a graduate student, I applied for family accommodation at the university, so we continued living in the same 1-bedroom apartment we had during our undergraduate years. I planned to keep renting this place even after Lu Ruyan finished her master's degree. It held too many precious memories of our youth. 1 month after graduation, Lu Ruyan unexpectedly became pregnant. I recalled the night of our graduation when I had drunk myself into a stupor. The next morning, I woke up in our rented apartment, the two of us tangled together, completely unclothed. The faint stains of blood on the sheets made it clear. We had crossed the final boundary. That night, Lu Ruyan hadn't drunk much. After helping me back to the apartment, I had pinned her beneath me, sealing her lips with mine. At first, she resisted, murmuring that we hadn't even had a wedding yet. But under the haze of alcohol, with the woman I loved most beneath me, I ignored her protests. By the end, Lu Ruyan had melted into the passion, willingly shedding her clothes. Who would have thought that just a month later, she would be carrying my child, conceived that very night? After my 22nd birthday, I took Lu Ruyan to the civil registry to get her marriage certificate, promising her a grand wedding after her graduation. With a child on the way, we couldn't stay on campus forever, so I bought an apartment and a car near the south gate of a university. The company was only 5 kilometers away, a quick drive. Lu Ruyan and I had both gotten our driver's licenses in our sophomore year. At first, she continued working at the company on weekdays while attending graduate classes on weekends. But as her pregnancy progressed, she applied for a 1-year leave of absence for the baby's sake. Her advisor, however, refused her request, simply allowing her to study from home instead. I hired the best nanny to care for her. No matter how busy I was, I made sure to return home every night to be with her. Even if I had social engagements, I always kept her informed, ensuring she felt secure. By late spring the following year, Lu Ruyan gave birth to our son. I named him Tianxi, heaven's gift. Tianxi, this entire life was a gift from the heavens. After her postpartum recovery, Lu Ruyan resumed her routine. Her advisor, who had always favored her since her undergraduate days, understood her situation and permitted her to continue remote studies, making it easier for her to care for the baby. Every night, Lu Ruyan would soothe our son to sleep. The dark circles under her eyes pained me, but she always reassured me, urging me to focus on the company and not worry about home. Still, I hired another nanny to ease her burden. 2 years later, Lu Ruyan earned her master's degree. Her advisor then helped her secure admission to a part-time Ph.D. program. By then, my company had grown significantly, and I generously funded her advisor's research team. On Lu Ruyan's 26th birthday, we held the grand wedding we had promised. Though reluctant, my parents attended. Her advisor stood as her family representative. At the wedding, I saw Shun Yuchu and Ita Makoto after a long time. Once inseparable lovers, now a resentful married couple. Even Yu Wei, Wang Jihong, and others I despised showed up out of obligation. I had sent invitations to all my old acquaintances from a university. Most still lived in the city, so they took a day off to attend. Before the ceremony, Shun Yuchu approached me alone. Wuchang, I need to step out for a moment. You two talk. Right in front of Shun Yuchu, Lu Ruyan kissed my lips, a clear claim, before walking out without a glance at her. Speak. What is it? I glared coldly at Shun Yuchu. Just remembering her and Ita Makoto's actions in my past life filled me with anger. Wuchang. She stepped forward, reaching for my hand, but I pulled away. Mrs. Itu, control yourself. If you have something to say, say it. No need for physical contact. Wuchang, are you really marrying Lu Ruyan? What does she have that I don't? If you marry me, you'll gain more resources, even the Ji family's inheritance. Shin Yuchu looked at me with pitiful eyes. Shin Yuchu, are you out of your mind? I was so angry I almost laughed. A piece of trash like you is worthy of being compared to Ruyan? I feel bad for Ruyan, even being mentioned in the same breath as you. Please don't bother me again in the future. I love Ruyan very much. With that, I walked to the door of the room, pulled it open, and caught Lu Ruyan, who had been eavesdropping and nearly fell in. Ruyan, I placed a kiss on her cheek. If you're worried, you don't have to feel wronged. My eyes and my heart are only for you. Shin Yuchu watched our loving display, her eyes red. Without a word, she walked out of the house. I didn't see her for the rest of the wedding. She probably thought of her own terrible marriage and was hiding in some corner, wiping her tears. But what does that have to do with me? My eyes are only for Lu Ruyan. I toasted Lu Ruyan's advisor, thanking her for taking care of us for the past 8 years. 18. 2 months later, the Ji family's business collapsed. My parents and Ji Buxiao were all sent to prison. Since I had long since cut ties with the Ji family, I was not affected. Also affected were the Yi, Shun, Yu, Wang, and several other family businesses. I had a hand in this. In my past life, what Ito Makoto, Shun Yuchu, Yi Wei, Wang Jihong, and the others did to me and Lu Ruyan, I would make them pay back double. To my pleasant surprise, many of the clients who had worked with the Ji family came to me, wanting to cooperate. Naturally, I agreed to all of them. Lu Ruyan marveled at the proposals on my computer. I told her that these were all her ideas. I just helped record them. Each time, Lu Ruyan would just smile and say nothing, but I knew she thought I was paving the way for her. 4 years later, Lu Ruyan graduated with her doctorate. With her advisor's recommendation, she successfully stayed at the university to become a professor. University A. Lu Ruyan enrolled as an undergraduate at 17 and graduated with a doctorate at 29. She had lived here for 12 years. In this life, I went for an annual checkup with Lu Ruyan every year. There were no major problems with her health. A little over 2 months later, on Lu Ruyan's 30th birthday, I invited many friends and business partners to celebrate with her. After the banquet dispersed, I held Lu Ruyan tightly. In my past life, Lu Ruyan died of illness on her 30th birthday, but in this life, our fates have changed. The next morning, as soon as I opened my eyes, I saw Lu Ruyan staring at me. "What's wrong, Ruyan?" I gently pulled her into my arms. "It's nothing. I just had a nightmare. A very real one." Lu Ruyan looked up at me. "It's okay, Ruyan. Dreams are fake." I gently patted her back. Lu Ruyan hugged me back around my waist, leaning obediently in my arms without struggling. I looked at the lovely person in my arms and smiled faintly. In her past life, at 30, Lu Ruyan was so ravaged by illness that she was unrecognizable, with sunken eyes and bone thin. In this life, at 30, time had left no trace on Lu Ruyan's face. Although she had given birth once, it had not diminished her beauty. Coupled with a happy and comfortable life, she looked like a young woman in her early 20s, still radiant. I drove her to university. Today was Lu Ruyan's first lecture. I told her not to be nervous, to believe in herself. Lu Ruyan's teaching skills were already excellent in high school. Now that she had a doctorate, she would naturally be even better. Just as I was locking the car, a few young men mistook Lu Ruyan for a current student and asked for her contact information. I was very annoyed, but when I heard what Lu Ruyan said, I couldn't help but laugh. The current Lu Ruyan had completely integrated into this society. "How old are you?" Lu Ruyan looked at him. "I'm 19 this year, sis. How about you?" "Little brother, I'm already 30 this year, and my child is in elementary school. Do you still want my contact information?" Lu Ruyan looked at him with a half smile. After hearing that, the boy ran away quickly. He probably wouldn't dare to hit on girls again. The others also scattered. They must all be psychologically scarred now. I had to hold on to you tightly. I walked over, wrapped my arm around Lu Ruyan's slender waist, and whispered in her ear, "Wachong, I've already borne you a child. What are you still worried about?" Lu Ruyan gave me an amused look. 19. As soon as I walked into the classroom, I saw the boy who had just asked Lu Ruyan for her WeChat sitting in the front row. When he saw Lu Ruyan, he was clearly stunned. I helped Lu Ruyan put her things down and then walked out of the classroom. I could only imagine how awkward it would be for that boy in class from now on. After class, Lu Ruyan drove to the company and laughingly told me about what happened in class. "Ruyan, this is the assistant I hired for you. Her name is Lixia. If you need anything in the future, just find her." I found Lixia, Lu Ruyan's assistant from her past life. In that life, she was the only outsider who remained utterly devoted to Lu Ruyan. Lixia was also a graduate of University A, having completed her undergraduate studies 4 years prior. However, she had never landed a particularly good job. Her nature was simple. Whoever treated her well, she would repay tenfold. Grateful for her loyalty in the past life, I offered her an exceptionally high salary of 13,000 yuan per month with 14 months' pay annually, along with numerous hidden benefits. "Hello, President Lu. My name is Lixia." Lixia bowed slightly. Lu Ruyan smiled and nodded, gesturing for her to take a seat. With Lixia by her side, Lu Ruyan's workload noticeably decreased. I encouraged her to pursue professional titles, as the company's operations were already well managed. 3 years later, Lu Ruyan became pregnant again, and in December of that year, she gave birth to twin girls. Remembering Lu Rui from the past life, I decided both daughters would take Lu Ruyan's surname, and she would name them. Lu Ruyan named the elder sister Lu Yaxian and the younger one Lu Yajing. Tianxi was already 10 years old, mature, academically outstanding, and always helping Lu Ruyan care for his younger sisters at home. Many envied me, saying I had achieved success in both career and love. Not only was the company growing steadily, but my family was also blissfully happy, with a wife of exceptional beauty, capability, and temperament, along with 3 adorable children. After marriage, I ensured Lu Ruyan felt secure. Whenever I went anywhere, I always informed her, even though she repeatedly said she trusted me and didn't need updates. I never listened to her on this matter. In December the year I turned 35, my parents were released early from prison due to good behavior. Lu Ruyan, holding no grudges, arranged an apartment for them and even hired someone to attend to their daily needs. My parents, deeply remorseful for their past disparagement of Lu Ruyan, repeatedly apologized to her. She simply smiled and said the past should stay in the past. I was deeply moved. I had been unsure how to broach the subject with Lu Ruyan, knowing that while I always stood by her side, my parents' earlier rejection must have left a scar on her heart, especially during a time when she was still emotionally guarded. Lu Ruyan wrapped her arms around my neck and said softly, "Bo Chong, I love you, and I don't want you torn between me and your parents. If I were 25, I wouldn't have let it go so easily. But at 35, after experiencing so much, I've learned to let go and even understand your parents' perspective back then." I kissed her delicate lips, feeling incredibly fortunate to have married such a remarkable woman. The following April, Ji Buxiao was also released early for good behavior. After his release, he came to my company, hoping I would take him in. Instead, I had security bar him at the gates. Even during my undergraduate years, I had resolved that while I would care for my parents, Ji Buxiao could go rot somewhere far away. Failing to sway me, Ji Buxiao went to university to seek out Lu Ruyan. By then, she had just been promoted to associate professor. Her teaching excellence and continuous patent achievements had earned her the sole nomination from her advisor. Lu Ruyan was also immensely popular among students. Thanks to her meticulous self-care, many refer to her as the most beautiful goddess sister. Strangely enough, the student who once asked for her WeChat ID became her first graduate student. When Lu Ruyan saw Ji Buxiao, she didn't immediately recognize him until he called her sister-in-law. She promptly called me to relay the situation. Furious, I feared Ji Buxiao would keep harassing us if we didn't comply. But Lu Ruyan assured me she would handle it. Still, I drove straight to university. That man was truly repulsive. When I arrived at Lu Ruyan's office, Ji Buxiao was already gone. She told me she had given him 1 million yuan to move to South Korea on the condition that he never return or reappear in our lives. While it felt like a waste of money, the peace it bought made it worthwhile. At dinner time, Lu Ruyan and I went to the university's first cafeteria. Even as undergraduates, we had loved eating there. Now that she taught at the university, we could enjoy its meals every day. Gazing at the woman across from me, her eyes filled with tenderness, my heart swelled with joy. As long as I could spend my life with Lu Ruyan, nothing else mattered. They say there's a trial in the first year, pain in the third, separation in the fifth, an itch in the seventh, and a pact in the 10th. But we have been together for 20 years and have never quarreled. Even when we have differing opinions, we always talk to each other calmly. Our love is still the same as it was back then. From 15 to 35, 20 years, we have weathered storms together, supported each other, and the entire journey is filled with our sweet memories. Ji Buxiang's monologue. Lu Ruyan, even if the whole world is filled with malice towards you, leaving your inner world without a trace of light, I will do everything in my power to protect you, to become a guiding light in your dark world. If one more step forward for you is an endless abyss, a fall from which there is no recovery, then I will definitely pull you back at any cost. I am willing to wait for you, to wait for the age-old ice deep in your heart to slowly thaw and gradually accept the kindness I offer, just as you brought me salvation in our past life when I was about to fall into the abyss. I'm so happy that in this life, I can be with you forever, not failing the second chance heaven has given us. Lu Ruyan, I love you forever. End of main text. Lu Ruyan's extra my name is Lu Ruyan. I originally had a very happy family, but when I was 10 years old, my parents unfortunately died in a plane crash. In an instant, I lost all my support. Fortunately, the government placed me in a place specifically for orphans like me and waived all my tuition fees up to high school graduation, which saved me from living on the streets and gave me the chance to continue my education. From then on, I studied even harder just to be able to build a career for myself in the future. However, due to the lack of parental companionship, my personality became more and more withdrawn. Throughout junior high, I was the target of bullying by the delinquents in my class. I ignored them, focusing solely on my studies. The junior high teachers were also very snobbish. Seeing that I was an orphan and knowing they couldn't get any benefit from me, they threw me to the back row to fend for myself. Even though my grades were consistently in the top 3 of the class, the teachers wouldn't give me a second glance. Besides me, Everyone else in the back row was a delinquent just there for a junior high diploma. I, who studied hard, seemed like an outcast. Pouring water in my school bag, throwing away my stationery, and so on were common occurrences. I didn't dare to resist, because I knew that if I showed the slightest bit of noncompliance, their bullying would surely become worse. The people I lived with were all 3 or 4 years older than me, and they didn't want to talk to me at all. I think it was this experience that, even after I opened up my self-enclosed heart, married the one I love, and had children, still makes me unable to help but cast a disgusted look at such delinquents on the street. These are the parasites of society. Up until the first year of high school, I didn't have a single friend. I didn't even go to the junior high graduation photo shoot. Every night, I would cry softly under my covers. This was my only outlet. I didn't understand why, when I had clearly done nothing wrong, heaven would give me such hardships. For those 3 years, I was very grateful to the Annie who served food in the cafeteria. Seeing my pitiful state, she would always give me an extra half scoop of rice and some meat dishes for free. After I grew up and became a university professor, I returned the favor to her granddaughter. Later, I was admitted to the best high school with one of the top 30 scores in the city. I originally thought that since everyone had good grades, they would all just focus on studying. But some people from wealthy families spent a lot of money to send their children to this place that should have been for learning. And these few people made me, the quiet one, the object of their bullying. However, I fell in love with a boy at first sight. His name was Jibwa Chong. I was first in the class, and Jibwa Chong was 8th. But we were not people of the same world. I could only hide my feelings in my heart and quietly watch him from afar. In high school, still no one wanted to be my desk mate because I didn't talk much, and also because those few delinquents said I was a jinx, that whoever got close to me would have bad luck. Naturally, no one wanted to be my friend. Years later, looking back on this time, I don't resent the classmates who stayed away from me after hearing the delinquents call me a jinx, because if it were me, I probably would have done the same. Everyone's minds were not mature back then. On September 13th, that group of delinquents celebrated Jibwa Chong's birthday. Only then did I know that my birthday and Jibwa Chong's were only 2 days apart. My birthday is September 11th, but I hadn't celebrated my birthday in a long time. Besides me, no one even knew what day my birthday was. And the delinquents all seemed to be very respectful to Jibwa Chong. No one dared to disobey what he said. Jibwa Chong never bullied me, but he also never stopped the little hooligans from bullying me. Did I resent Jibwa Chong? The answer is obvious. I never resented him. We were not related in any way. So why should he make his friends uncomfortable for my sake? In the final exam of the first semester of my freshman year of high school, I still ranked first in the class, while Jibwa Chong dropped to more than 50th, which made me a little disappointed. But on second thought, their family is so rich. I can only rely on studying hard to perhaps reach the height they have built with money. In the second semester of my freshman year, in the second week of school, I was eating alone in the cafeteria. The number of students in high school was more than 6 times that of junior high school. Even if the cafeteria lady had a kind heart, she couldn't remember me. I could only eat formal white rice and free pickles and pickle soup every day. Fortunately, the high school teachers were not as snobbish as the junior high school teachers and took good care of me. Listening to the group of hooligans discussing me, I felt very uncomfortable. At this moment, I heard Shin Yochu's voice, "Young Master G, go eat the pickled vegetables in that Jinx's tray." "Young Master G, hurry up. You're not going to back out, are you?" Ito Makoto's voice followed. After hearing this, I held back my tears, continued to eat my food, and ignored them. What I didn't expect was that Jibwa Chong would actually bring his tray and sit next to me. To my surprise, he took the chopsticks from my hand, picked up a piece of pickled radish, and then, in my shocked and angry gaze, he put the pickled radish into his mouth. I could see his facial features contorting a little. After all, this pickled radish was not just ordinarily salty, and he was even eating it on an empty stomach. "Ruyan, this is not nutritious. Eat some meat." As Jibwa Chong spoke, he put all the meat from his plate onto my tray. At that time, I thought Jibwa Chong was insulting me. Being treated like this by the person I liked, I could no longer control the anger in my heart. I picked up the bowl and threw all the pickle soup in it onto Jibwa Chong's face. Then I ran out of the cafeteria crying, found a thicket of trees, leaned against a thick tree, and cried my heart out. I didn't return to the classroom in a daze until I heard the preparatory bell for class. I didn't hear a word the teacher said in that class, and I barely managed to stop myself from crying again. As soon as the class was over, Jibo-chang came to me. I thought Jibo-chang was going to hit me and quickly apologized. As a result, he actually apologized to me and wanted me to tutor him in his academic subjects. It would be a lie to say I wasn't happy, but I thought that he seemed to have had a conflict with Shin Yu-chu a few days ago, and Shin Yu-chu hated me the most, so I thought he was approaching me to annoy Shin Yu-chu, so I refused him. Jibo-chang was not angry and gave me a piece of dark chocolate, which looked very expensive at first glance. For the next week, Jibo-chang gave me a piece of dark chocolate every day. I didn't eat any of them and put them all on the windowsill. After school that day, I saw Shin Yu-chu hugging him. I was right. A trace of disappointment flashed through my heart. I bypassed them and walked toward the stairs. At this moment, I heard Shin Yu-chu scream. Just as I was about to turn around and look, Jibo-chang grabbed my arm first and explained to me, saying that he really wanted to help me. I quickly pulled my sleeve back and left quickly, not wanting to stay for even a second longer. It was just at the moment I turned around, my tears flowed down my face uncontrollably. I didn't expect that the next day, Jibo-chang would actually apply to the teacher to be my desk mate. Seeing him smile at me, my heart was moved for a moment, but I quickly entered a state of self-lock again. I told Jibo-chang that I hated him. I don't know if it was an illusion, but I actually saw disappointment in Jibo-chang's eyes. During the month that I was his desk mate, Jibo-chang drew a clear line with that group of hooligans and really started to study hard. He also often asked me questions. At first, I was still very cold, but even I didn't realize that my attitude towards Jibo-chang was getting better and better later on. Jibo-chang followed me every day after school and watched me return to my residence before leaving. A month later, I finally couldn't stand it anymore. I asked Jibo-chang how long he was going to play with me. Jibo-chang said that he was not playing with me and that he had always liked me. A ripple was suddenly stirred up in my heart, but it was soon occupied by reason. Jibo-chang asked me how I could believe him. I wanted him to give up playing with me as soon as possible, so I asked him to kneel. After speaking, I turned and left because I had always been convinced that Jibo-chang was just having a fit of pique with Shin Yu-chu and didn't believe at all that Jibo-chang would really kneel. But when I heard a thud behind me, my body suddenly froze. When I turned around again, I saw Jibo-chang really kneeling down to me, looking at me with sincerity in his eyes. At that moment, my mind went blank, and I hurried to help Jibo-chang up. And Jibo-chang took the opportunity to hold my waist and not let go, which made my cheeks flush. I also believe that Jibo-chang was not having a fit of pique with Shin Yu-chu. Although we hadn't officially started dating at that time, our relationship grew closer day by day. Little by little, I began to open up my long-locked heart, gradually allowing Jibo-chang to step inside. I could feel it. My heart, frozen for 5 years, was slowly beginning to thaw. Jibo-chang had indeed fallen far behind his studies, so I tutored him every day. In return, he insisted I no longer eat at the cafeteria, bringing me all kinds of meals instead, most of which were lamb-based. I had no idea how he knew I loved lamb. By the final exams of our first year of high school, Jibo-chang's grades had climbed to the top 20-something. I was genuinely happy for him. During summer break, Jibo-chang often asked me out for walks. Since it was the first time anyone had ever invited me, I never refused. A week before school started again, while we were walking together, we ran into Shin Yu-chu and her group. Jibo-chang stood up for me, then quickly pulled me away. At that moment, I finally asked the question I've been wanting to ask for so long. Why are you so good to me? Jibo-chang replied, you once said, if there's a next life, could you spare me another glance? Of course, I didn't believe him. But after we parted ways, Shin Yu-chu and her friends dragged me into the woods. Ito Makoto and Wang Jihong held me down, while Shin Yu-chu and Yu Yue slapped me repeatedly. I gritted my teeth against the pain, refusing to beg for mercy. Then Jibo-chang arrived, beating Shin Yu-chu, Yu Yue, and Ito Makoto senseless. Afraid things would escalate, I grabbed his wrist and shook my head. Understanding, Jibo-chang swept me into his arms, and I instinctively wrapped my arms around his neck. On the way back, Jibo-chang kept apologizing, but I reassured him I had never blamed him in the first place. When we returned to my place, I learned that the dormitory I lived in was funded by Shun Yochu's family. I was kicked out, and Jibwa Chong took me to his home instead. On my 16th birthday, Jibwa Chong surprised me with a phone. Though I didn't know the exact price, I knew it must have been expensive, so I refused. In the end, he insisted it was just a loan. The next day, he took me to get a SIM card and helped me set up accounts for various messaging apps. For the next 2 years, Shun Yuchu and her friends rarely appeared in my life. Meanwhile, my relationship with Jibwa Chong grew even stronger. He loved holding my hand during class. At first, it felt awkward, but after a while I got used to it, so much so that unless I was taking notes, I'd willingly place my hand in his. I could feel it. A seed of love had quietly taken root in our hearts, destined to bloom in the future. Many classmates asked to borrow my notes, but I refused every time. Aside from me, only Jibwa Chong was allowed to see them. Sharing them with outsiders would be like aiding the enemy. After the English portion of the college entrance exam, Jibwa Chong confessed to me. I cried and threw myself into his arms, officially marking the start of our relationship. This was something my past self from 3 years ago could only dream of. At our high school graduation ceremony, Jibwa Chong's parents attended. They were far from pleased with me, but Jibwa Chong stood firm in his choice. I scored 30 points higher than Jibwa Chong on the exams, securing my place in University A's top-tier strategic finance program as my first choice. Jibwa Chong also got into the same program as his second choice. On registration day, we discovered we were placed in the same class. Overjoyed, Jibwa Chong suggested we move in together by October. After a moment's hesitation, I agreed. He also encouraged me to join a club, saying university life shouldn't be just about studying like in high school. I needed some social life too. That's how I became good friends with a few new club members. I remember the second Saturday of September, when our homeroom teacher called me into the office. She told me that a monthly poverty assistance grant of 5,000 yuan would be deposited into my account, and the Orphans and Vulnerable Children Association had already covered my 4 years' tuition. I was stunned, but quickly realized this was Jibwa Chong's way of helping me without hurting my pride. Now, the money I had in a single month was nearly more than what I used to have in an entire year. Not one for splurging, I saved up instead, using it to prepare thoughtful gifts for Jibwa Chong on special occasions. Once, while waiting for Jibwa Chong in the cafeteria as he queued for breakfast, a guy asked for my contact. I refused, pointing at Jibwa Chong in line and saying, "That's my boyfriend, the one I love most." At a club gathering during our sophomore year, someone asked who had fallen for whom first between Jibwa Chong and me. Without hesitation, I admitted I'd like him first. Later, during a game of truth or dare, Jibwa Chong kissed me in front of everyone. I'm sure my face turned bright red that day. The 4 years of university passed by in a flash. In my senior year, I was accepted into the university's graduate program. My advisor was Professor Lee, who had taken great care of me during my undergraduate studies. She had a failed marriage and no children, and seemed to treat me as her own daughter. My grades were good enough for a full-time master's degree, but Jibwa Chong often talked about starting a business, and I couldn't let him do it alone at this time, so I enrolled in the part-time master's program. On the day of our university graduation, for some reason, Jibwa Chong insisted that I come to the South Gate for a photo. He took a picture of my side profile at an angle that looked like a candid shot. On the back, Jibwa Chong wrote, "Even if time and space are intertwined, it will still be you by my side." That night, Jibwa Chong and his friends got completely drunk. After returning to our rented apartment, he suddenly pressed me down. Feeling his hot breath, I knew what he was about to do. I had originally wanted to wait until our wedding day, but as he kissed me, I was moved and gave myself to him. The next day, looking at the bloodstains on the bedsheet, I wasn't nervous. On the contrary, I was very happy. I finally belonged completely to Jibwa Chong. A month later, I was pregnant. I had originally planned to apply for a 1-year leave of absence from school, but my advisor told me I could just study remotely from home and not delay my studies. Just after his 22nd birthday, Jibwa Chong took me to the Civil Affairs Bureau to get our marriage certificate. Looking at the marriage certificate in my hand, it felt so unreal. At 15, I never thought I would end up with Jibwa Chong. The following year, our child was born. Ji Chang named him Ji Tianxi. We finally had our own baby. Ji Chang sent me a document telling me that it contained all the ideas I had come up with, and he had just helped me write them down. The plans in this document all came in handy later. 2 years later, after graduating with my master's degree, my advisor helped me apply for a doctoral program for working professionals. On my 26th birthday, Ji Chang and I held a grand wedding. Ji Chang's parents, Shun Yu Chu, Yu Yu Wei, Ito Makoto, Wang Jihong, and others all came to attend. Shun Yu Chu even came backstage to find Ji Chang. I wanted him to handle it himself, so I walked out the door, but I couldn't help but press my ear against the door to eavesdrop. Ji Chang told Shun Yu Chu that he only loved me. As if he knew I was eavesdropping, Ji Chang opened the door, and I fell in his arms. The wedding went very smoothly, and we received the blessings of most people. 2 months later, the Ji family's business collapsed, but Ji Chang was not implicated. Before my 30th birthday, I finally graduated with my doctorate. With my advisor's recommendation, I stayed at the university and became a university teacher. I couldn't bear to see my advisor all alone, so I acknowledged her as my godmother. Unexpectedly, on the first day of class, someone asked for my WeChat QR code. They probably thought I was a student. It was truly speechless, and that young man turned out to be my student. I never thought something so cliched would happen to me. However, that boy was indeed a good student, so I made him my class representative. His name was Han Xuanja, and he would also be my first future master's student. On my 30th birthday, Ji Chang was especially happy. He invited almost all the friends and business partners he knew to celebrate with me. That night, I had a dream. It seemed to be a story that Ji Chang had once told me. I saw that on that day, Ji Chang didn't eat the pickles, but threw them on the ground. And in college, I went out to work part-time to earn tuition, was drugged by Shin Yu Chu, raped by Ito Makoto, and became pregnant, and the school paid to smooth things over. On graduation day, I was secretly taking pictures of Ji Chang at the South Gate, just like how Ji Chang took pictures of me in this life. After graduation, I could only raise my child while starting a business, eating only pickles every day, and developing a serious addiction to cigarettes and alcohol. Later, the Ji group went bankrupt, and Ji Chang was left homeless. I brought him back to my villa, gave him resources, and helped him make a comeback. But although we lived in the same house, it was as if there was a galaxy between us. On my 30th birthday, I died of multiple organ failure due to overwork. Because of my last wish, Ji Chang raised my daughter, Lu Rui. However, when Ji Chang was 45, his appearance was like that of a man in his 70s. It was in this year that Ji Chang fell ill due to long-term depression and overwork. In addition, Lu Rui was already married, so he seemed to have no more attachments and passed away quietly at the end of that year. At this point, I woke up from the dream, drenched in a cold sweat. At this moment, Ji Chang was holding my waist and sleeping soundly. I felt that this might not have been a dream. Perhaps this was our past life. The day Ji Chang was reborn should have been before he ate the pickled radish from my plate in the cafeteria. From that point on, 2 different lives diverged. Looking at Ji Chang, many things could be explained, such as the intense love that gushed from his eyes for me from the very beginning, and the advanced plans he gave me. The secretary Ji Chang found for me was Li Xia, who had been the most loyal to me in my past life. I placed a kiss on Ji Chang's face. Regardless of the past life, in this life, we were so deeply in love. After that, I didn't fall back asleep, just quietly watched Ji Chang. In my 33rd year, I became pregnant again. At the end of the year, I safely gave birth to twin girls. Ji Chang let me name them and also let the daughters take my surname. So I named the older sister Lu Yaxian and the younger sister Lu Yajing. Tianxi was very sensible. Sometimes when Ji Chang and I were busy, he would help the nanny coax his 2 younger sisters to sleep. In my 35th year, Ji Chang's parents and his younger brother, Ji Xiao, were released from prison one after another. I arranged for people to take care of Ji Chang's parents. They used to dislike me very much, but I didn't want Ji Chang to be caught in the middle, torn between 2 sides. Besides, I have learned to let go of many things now, and I could even somewhat understand how they felt back then. When Ji Xiao found me, I had just been promoted to associate professor. I had returned to my office and was about to call Ji Buochang to tell him the good news when Ji Buoxiao showed up. At first, I didn't recognize Ji Buoxiao. It wasn't until he called me sister-in-law that I remembered he was Ji Buochang's biological younger brother. I called Ji Buochang. When he heard that Ji Buoxiao had actually come to find me, he was furious and said he was coming over immediately. Even though I said I could handle the matter, Ji Buochang still insisted on coming. Looking at Ji Buoxiao, I knew he would keep causing trouble if I didn't give him money. So I gave him 1 million and told him to go to Korea and never come back. At first, Ji Buoxiao complained it was too little. I told him, when your older brother gets here, you won't get any of this, and you'll definitely get a beating. Only then did Ji Buoxiao grab the bank card and quickly flee. As a result, 5 minutes later, Ji Buochang stormed into my office. We didn't see Ji Buoxiao. I told him what had happened. Ji Buochang sighed and told me to just consider it the price for some peace and quiet. I told Ji Buochang the good news about my promotion to associate professor. Looking at his smiling face, I felt incredibly content. This was a life I wouldn't have even dared to dream of as a child. I could also finally officially supervise master's students. Han Xuanja became my first master's student. Because he had taken a year off from his studies, he happened to enroll just as I was recruiting my first one. Although I was fully capable of supervising doctoral students, I didn't have enough seniority. My advisor, however, had become the dean, and she handed over the doctoral students she recruited to me. For months before my 40th birthday, I was finally promoted to professor and also became the vice dean. I could finally recruit my own doctoral students. That year, my son Tianxi was also successfully admitted to Program A of the Strategic Finance Department at University A. I was overjoyed. My advisor booked a cruise ship to celebrate for both Tianxi and me. My advisor already treated Tianxi like her own grandson. During the party, I went out onto the deck for some air and noticed a waitress around 60 years old staring at me intently. Just as I was about to speak, she called out my name in a hoarse voice, Lu Ruyan. I was a bit shocked and asked, "Hello, Auntie, do we know each other?" Hearing the word Auntie, the old woman became visibly furious and shouted at me, "I'm Shun Yuchu. On what grounds? We're clearly around the same age, yet you're still so young and beautiful, while I'm already old and decrepit." Shun Yuchu. I thought about the name for a long time before remembering that she was the one who bullied me in high school, and it seemed she had always had a crush on Ji Buochang. But now I had let go of all that. I didn't pay her any more mind, not even saying another word to her before turning and walking back into the cabin. Because of the psychological trauma from middle school, even though more than 20 years have passed, I still despise young hooligans. As it turned out, that very night, I heard from the crew that Shun Yuchu had thrown herself into the sea and committed suicide. Ito Makoto and Yu Yu Wei had just been released from prison 2 years ago when they were assassinated by their enemies. Wang Jihong started a gang fight in prison. It's estimated he won't get out for the rest of his life. I told Ji Buochang about what happened with Shun Yuchu. He clearly also had to think for a long time before he seemed to remember who she was. In the end, he just said faintly that someone like her wasn't worthy of sympathy. Han Xuanja had also successfully applied for a position to stay and teach at the university on the condition that he graduate from his Ph.D. program smoothly. Han Xuanja had also married the girl he loved, and I would be handing over some of the courses I taught to him. My advisor had already entered a state of semi-retirement, so now most matters were managed by me as the vice dean. After the school year started in September, I brought Tianxi to the apartment where Ji Buochang and I had lived together back in the day. Looking at the familiar furnishings in the apartment, even though more than 20 years had passed and we were now middle-aged, I still felt as if Ji Buochang and I had only just moved in together. I told Tianxi the story of my and Ji Buochang's romance in college. Tianxi asked me with great envy, "Mom, I want to find a girl too. Will she be able to love me as much as Mom loves Dad?" I gently pulled him into my arms. "A gift from heaven will come. Trust, Mom." The end.